It's the 13th century, and you're dying. Your body is a battlefield of swellings, black, oozing sores that leak pus and fever in equal measure. Your joints burn, your skull feels too tight for your brain, and every cough rattles like the toll of your own funeral bell. The Black Death already took your family, one by one, in screams and silence. You're the orphan left behind, waiting your turn. But you're too stubborn to go quietly. You drag your half-dead body into the woods, coughing blood, looking for firewood, for warmth, for life. The townsfolk won't let you near them anyway, not when you reek of plague. They already pushed you to the outskirts. They'd sooner drown you in a ditch than share bread. You hate them for it. So much that as you stumble back to your hut, you mutter curses under your breath. You try to whistle a tune, just to spite the world. But you're too weak to even get it done. Your mother once warned you never to whistle after dark. It calls monsters. But what could be worse than the plague? That's when it happens. A rustle, a shadow, then teeth. Hot, deep, tearing into your shoulder. You scream, but the forest swallows it whole. One bite, one slash, and the thing is gone. Like you weren't worth finishing. You drag yourself home, blood soaking through your rags. Tell yourself it was just a wolf. A rabid one, maybe. You'll scar. You'll live. You have to. That's what you think. Then the changes begin. You eat like a starving man possessed. Bread, meat, even dirt when nothing else is there. Your nails thicken and curl, sharp enough to shred your bedding when you toss in fever dream sleep. Other plague victims in the outskirts whisper about your even worse appearance, about the hunger in your eyes, the way children cry harder when you pass. You feel thinner, stranger, not from the plague. Your teeth ache in your gums like they're sharpening themselves. It's also strange. You don't feel the plague anymore. At night, you hear wolves, howls that nobody else hears, echoing straight into your skull. A call you don't understand. And then the full moon rises. The pain splits you open. Bones snap like dry twigs. Your skin blisters, then tears. Fur sprouting from wounds that don't heal. Your scream strangles into a growl as your jaw wrenches wide, teeth punching out of your skull. Every inch of you is broken and rebuilt raw. Longer arms, crooked spine, breath that reeks of blood and iron. You try to pray, but the words die in a throat made for tearing. Then, blackness. You wake at dawn in a ditch, naked, raw, shivering. Your hands are red, not with your blood. The stench of sheep guts lingers on your breath. You don't remember what happened. You just know it wasn't human. You notice the swellings are gone. No fever, no weakness, no coughing blood. Congratulations, you survived the plague. Only to catch something worse. They find you after your first bloody night, trembling in your hut. The pack. At first, they look like men. Rough villagers, cloaked against the cold, faces cut with scars. Then they step closer, and the illusion cracks. The way they move too quietly, the way their eyes flash too long in the moonlight. You've heard whispers, monsters in the woods, but you never imagined they'd look like your neighbors. Born wolves sneer when they catch your scent. You're tainted, turned, not bred. To them, you're an accident, a plague-wrapped stray. They remind you often. At best, you're a tool. At worst, you're disposable. Your sire, the one who bit you, laughs in your face. You were never meant to change. You were meat, bitter, diseased meat. I spat you out, he says. The Alpha arrives, a wall of muscle and scars. He doesn't growl, doesn't speak much. He just looks at you, and you fold. The others bow low. You learn fast. The pack bows to no god but him. That night, your orientation begins. Rule 1. The alpha's word is law. He decides who eats, who breeds, who lives long enough to regret it. Rule 2. Spill blood together. Raids bind you. Sheep, cattle, villagers. It doesn't matter. If the moon demands it, you don't question. Rule 3. Never reveal. Hunters are everywhere. Priests with relics, mercenaries with silver blades, peasants armed with pitchfork paranoia. If one wolf is suspected, the whole pack suffers. Silence is survival. Rule 4. Hide in plain sight. This is the part that unsettles you most. By day, they live as humans. They farm, they drink, they marry. Some even raise children, who grow up knowing what the moon will make of them. These are the born wolves, and they hate you. Rule 5. Silver burns. Wolfsbane poisons. Hide it. Avoid it. They show you how to pass off scars as farm injuries, how to spit wine into a fire to prove you're not cursed. The tricks that keep suspicion off their backs. Then come the stories. The endless feuds with vampires, blood-drunk parasites who hunt the same villages, who despise wolves as wild, unrefined filth. Encounter with hunters, holy men, mercenaries, desperate peasants with torches, burning both sides when they can't tell the difference. At first, it almost feels like family. Almost. Then you notice the cracks, how quickly laughter stops when you walk in, how the born wolves jostle you harder, watch you closer. You're not one of them. You're barely tolerated. And in this family, mistakes aren't forgiven and forgotten. They're killed, then forgotten. Just when you thought the rules were bad, turns out they were just the prelude. Now comes the application, your first raids. The pack doesn't strike the village you came from. Not yet. Instead, they prowl out to distant hamlets. 2, 3 nights travel into the woods. Places where sheep outnumber people, and missing flocks are blamed on wolves in the regular sense. Your job is simple. Follow, obey, and keep your mouth shut. At first it feels manageable. Livestock raids. You sprint through dark fields, rip into fat sheep, gorge on steaming entrails. The shepherd wakes screaming. If he's lucky, the alpha lets him live. If not, you watch another wolf silence him quickly. It's ugly, but it's not wholesale slaughter. Just enough carnage to feed the hunger and keep suspicion off the pack. They tell you this is restraint. You almost believe them. But then comes the rivalries. You stumble right into a turf war. Another pack, lean, hungry, desperate, meets yours in the dark. Your alpha doesn't hesitate. Wolves tear into wolves, fur against fur, teeth snapping like bones breaking. You barely keep yourself alive, clawing at shapes that look too much like you. Turns out, packs aren't one happy family across the woods. They're gangs with bangs, borders, grudges, blood debts. They fight over grazing grounds the same way humans fight over farmland. And if you die in the crossfire, no one mourns. Then there's the vampires. You meet them not in a fight, but a standoff. Aristocrats, pale as chalk, dressed in silks finer than anything you've ever touched. They stand on a ruined chapel step, sneering down at your pack like lords judging beggars. Dogs, one hisses. Filthy, stinking curs. Your alpha growls back, ready to lunge. The vampires don't flinch. They know wolves can rip, but they also know wolfsbane and silver make good insurance. You catch their eyes, and you realize something. They despise you, but they also respect what you are. your rage, your unpredictability. They call you dogs, but deep down, they're scared you might bite. For now, it doesn't come to blood, just snarls and spitting, threats wrapped in velvet. But you understand the unspoken rule. The night isn't big enough for both kinds of monsters. And through it all, you go along. Sheep guts, shepherds, rival wolves, vampire sneers. Because survival here means moving with the pack. Otherwise, you're just meat for enemies to pick on. You run with the pack for months, but now things are starting to feel odd. The signs begin weeks before. The pack grows restless, snarling over scraps, snapping at shadows. Even the born wolves you once thought unshakable pace like caged beasts. Then the alpha calls a gathering. His voice carries through the woods like thunder. The blood moon is coming. You've heard the stories whispered, but now you see the way every wolf's eyes glow with hunger. A blood-red moon that drives the curse deeper, makes the rage irresistible. On such a night, wolves don't just hunt. They slaughter, they revel, they burn. The alpha announces the target, a village on the edge of the valley. Not for food, for blood. Men, women, children, wipe them out. The pack howls approval. All except you. You remember the plague cards, your mother's face blistered by the Black Death. You think of shepherds and families who already fear the night, and suddenly the hunger twisting your guts feels more like sickness than power. You speak. You say the word no wolf ever dares to say. No. The alpha's gaze lands on you. His voice is low, lethal. The blood moon calls for blood. Deny it, and you deny the wolf. You try again, reason, pleading, reminding them that they once walked among humans too. The answer is fangs. You're beaten to the ground, ribs aching, blood in your mouth. You're not just ignored, you're left for dead. But you still can't accept it. So the night before the raid, you slip into the village, hood drawn, voice low. You whisper warnings. They're coming. At the next full moon, hide, arm yourselves, pray. Some laugh, some panic. But the seed is planted. When the blood moon rises, you chain yourself to a tree, wrists, throat, chest bound in iron. Better to tear yourself apart than wake drenched in children's blood. The night explodes around you. Screams, bells, smoke, wolves. Villagers fight back with pitchforks, torches, silver blades. Hunters rise from the shadows, crossbows primed, wolfsbane burning in the air. What should have been a feast becomes carnage. Wolves die, villagers die, streets drown in blood. And the pack knows. You weren't there. You didn't fight. You didn't feed. Only a traitor could have warned the humans. The alpha rushes into the forest in blind rage. He's on your trail. He sees you exhausted from the night's struggle, but he's also heavily injured from the battle. He pounces, and his jaws are already at your throat. But rage, desperation, and a rusted blade of silver poking out of him turns the tide. He was bleeding from it already when you struck the final blow. And that's when the rest of the pack catches up. He fell. You stood. And that was enough. The wolves don't care about fairness, only outcomes. So by pack law, you're the new alpha. It doesn't feel like victory. The pack circles you in silence, eyes burning with something between loathing and resignation. A turned wolf, a half-breed, now their leader? The shame drips from them like venom. Still, law is law. They bow. For now. At first, you play the role they expect, leading raids on sheep pens, scattering hunters in the woods, keeping the pack alive. But you change the rules. No slaughter of whole villages, no children torn apart in their beds. You steer the wolves toward livestock, the occasional unlucky shepherd. You tell them humans are to be frightened, not exterminated. The pack grumbles. Born wolves raised on blood call you soft. You hear the growls behind your back, feel the eyes on you in every council around the fire. But you don't bend, because for the first time in your cursed life, you are not prey. You are the alpha. But the pack doesn't fear you enough. Not yet. But they are not the only ones you have to watch out for. There are still the hunters, who still see you as a monster. And more importantly, the vampires. Blood-sucking parasites who don't care for their new bloods like the packs. So fights break out. It was bound to happen. Wolves and vampires never shared the night for long. They call you mutts. Filthy beasts with too much noise, too much hunger, too little control. And maybe they aren't wrong. But then you catch one of them. Him. The silk-clad parasite from before, draining an entire hamlet dry. You don't care about insults. He leaves bodies stacked like kindling, blood slick in the mud, children pale as wax. You know what that means. Hunters will come. Not just for him, for all of you. So you step in, claws bared, teeth ready. For the first time, you don't slink in the shadows. You fight. The clash is brutal. His speed against your raw fury, fangs snapping in the dark. Trees splinter, earth quakes. The air reeks of blood and furs. It isn't clean. It isn't decisive. But it ends with him fleeing into the night, hissing your name like a curse. You stood your ground. You just proved you're more than the pup who got lucky against an old alpha. But victory is a double-edged fang. Rogue vampires now whisper about the upstart wolf who meddles in their feeding. And your pack? They mutter louder. About you caring more about peasants than your own pack. One day, while tracking the vampire, you get information that he is gathering other rogue vampires. You see this as a chance to finish it. A chance to prove your rule. You take your pack with you on the trail. It leads to ruins outside town. It's too quiet, too perfect. And then the night erupts. Dozens of pale faces spill from the dark. Your rival grins, fangs dripping, as his kin closes in. You attack with your pack. You fight like a beast born to war. Fang against fang, claws against silk. Wolves fall around you. Then you realize they're not falling. They're leaving. One by one, your own pack slips into the shadows, abandoning you. Alone, bleeding, you still manage to tear down 3, maybe 4, before the tide buries you, just as they are about to finish you off. Then comes bolts of silver. Hunters. Vampires scatter. Wolves vanish. Only you remain. Broken, dragged in chains towards judgment. They've been tracking the vampire for weeks, months, maybe even years. Crossbows aimed, chains ready, wolfsbane smeared on the tips. You try to explain, but nothing answers. The wolf is wounded, the man too weak. You collapse into their ropes like a dying dog. Dragged through the mud, half naked, jeered at, spat on, paraded into town square. The same town where you once dreamed of being accepted. The pack betrayed you. The humans delivered you. And now, for the first time since that bite, you know, you're not escaping this. You're shackled in the square, bones rattling inside chains slick with wolfsbane. Priests wave relics. Villagers hurl stones and rotten bread. No one asks what you've done. No one cares. You're a wolf. That's enough. When you try to speak, your words dissolve into coughs. The man in you begs. The wolf snarls. Neither voice is heard. The sentence comes fast. Death by fire. Not because you slaughtered their sheep, or because you defied your pack, or because vampires still whisper your name like a curse, but because you exist. Because you've always existed wrong. They tie you to the stake. Ash flakes drift on the wind. You almost laugh. This is the same humans you went against your pack for. You never were human enough. Not as the boy. Not as the beast. The flames catch. Heat peels your skin. Somewhere in the crowd, a mother shields her child's face, as if looking at you might spread the curse. You don't howl. You don't scream. You just watch the sky burn red. By morning, nothing remains but char and rumor. The villagers whisper of the monster they killed, patting themselves on the back for cleansing God's land. The hunters brag of their prize. The pack tells the tale as a warning. The vampires sneer and call it justice. And you? You're gone. No grave, no tears, no name worth remembering. An orphan in life, an outcast in death. You spent your whole cursed life trying to prove you were more than a beast. But to them, you were never man enough to matter, never wolf enough to belong. Just another shadow, burned away at dawn.